Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth with Family Heirlooms, and today I am dehydrating some onions. So I have these onions, and if you can't tell, they're looking a little bit sad. And the reason for that is because these are onions from our garden from last year. So they've been actually in our garage. We have a heated garage all winter. It's not ideal for storing onions in that manner. That's just where they ended up, and that's where they stayed. They actually haven't done too bad, but you can see they're getting very wrinkly and a little bit soggy. So it's time to do something with it. So we're cutting them up today to dehydrate and turn into onion powder. My kids actually love this onion powder because the onions we grow are a purple variety called blush, and it makes pink onion powder. So they think that's pretty hilarious. Now, if you are a crybaby about onions like I am, I actually just discovered a really cool way to thwart the tear gases that come off the onions. So I'm going to show you how we do this, and I'm going to show you that little tip here in just a second. All right, so you can see here onions again. Like I said, they're looking a little sad. And to save some time, I already have some peeled and sliced. If you don't know how to peel and slice an onion, I recommend looking that up on YouTube or the web. It's pretty simple. I usually just cut off the tops and bottoms. And then with these, I'm just cutting them in half and leaving them as half. I feel a little bit safer cutting a flat onion than rather than trying to slice them as wholes. Now, if you're going to do something like onion rings, obviously you wouldn't want to cut them in half. You want them to be a ring. But for my purposes, dehydrating, it's not too big a deal. So we already have them cut in half, peeled. And then what we do is cut them into slices, about a 1/4 inch thick, and we're going to lay them out on the dehydrator pans here. Trays a better word than pans. But as a warning, if you're going to dehydrate onions, if you have a way to do it outside or in a garage or something like that, somewhere that gets a lot of airflow, I recommend that, because dehydrating onions is a very smelly process. Something about running them through the dehydrator, it smells a lot like really bad body odor. So think about the smell of cooking onions in your house and how that gets into your clothes and, kind of permeates everything in the house. It's kind of that same thing, but because of the fan blowing down over these, it makes that smell go everywhere. So just fair warning, if you're going to do this, you're going to get an amazing, delicious product out of it, but it's not going to smell great for a while. So just fair warning on that. And then now I'm going to show you a little trick to keep the tears at bay. All right, so when it comes to cutting onions, I am a big weenie. I get a runny nose and tears, and it's just awful. And I have tried everything. I've tried the water in the mouth. I've tried chewing gum. I've tried the goggles, which the goggles actually have helped pretty well. None of it seems to help all the way. The goggles fog up. It makes it hard for me to cut a large amount of onions because I'm constantly having to open them up and clear out the fog. And then, of course, the fumes get up in the goggles, and that makes it even worse. And so today, I just had a thought that what is actually happening when you cut an onion is that you are breaking all of these cell walls. And inside of the cell walls are different chemical compounds. Now, when you have a whole onion like this, you can put it up to your nose and all day long, and it's not going to make you cry like a cut onion does. And that's because all of those chemicals are separated by all these cell walls inside of the onion. When you cut the onion, you're breaking open those cell walls, and the two chemicals mix, and that's what makes that onion smell, for lack of better explanation. And that's what will cause the stuffy nose, the running nose, the teary eyes. And that's what most people are bothered by. So I had the thought today that, well, if the fumes from cutting the onions are coming up to my face and that's what's causing it. What if I made it so the fumes never got to my face? And I remembered I had this tiny little fan hidden away. And so all I have done is set it up here. I have a outlet down here that it's plugged into. I'm right-handed, so it's a little bit far away from the cutting board because I'm working here. That's just my setup because of where the outlet is and where I'm working. But I have been cutting probably a dozen onions. Just turn the fan on. It's blowing right across the cutting board. I've cut probably a dozen onions, and the only time that they've really bothered me is when I've picked them up after cutting off the ends, cutting it in half. I picked it up and moved it closer to my face out of the fan air movement to peel off the papery skin. That's really the only time I've noticed it bothering me. So life hack right here. This is now my kitchen onion cutting fan, and I will tell people that this is a fan for cutting onions, and it's official duty now in life. But I hope you found this helpful. I hope this life hack can change the way you feel about preparing onions in your kitchen, and I hope that you give dehydrating them a try. Now we're going to put them in the dehydrator and run it until they are completely crisp and dried out. I tend to run it a little bit cooler than most people. I believe the setting on my dehydrator for vegetables is 135 degrees, maybe 125. I don't have the actual dehydrator here with me, so I'm not 100% sure on that. But I go a little bit cooler. I go about 110 on them just because for some reason with onions, it's almost like the sugars in the onion caramelize or burn at the higher temperatures, and it gives a very different flavor to the onion powder than I really want. So I tend to dry these just a little bit longer. This should take a day or two, and after that I'll run them through the blender and grind it into powder, and then we'll have some of the best onion powder I've ever had, and one that just, as a pun, tickles my kids pink. So thanks for watching. I hope to see you again next time. Bye.